Hello, everybody. Tracy, Mrs. JDog Flanagan with you here today. I'm the co-founder and senior vice president at JDog Brands. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Tactical Treasures podcast sponsored by the JDog Foundation. Our podcast gives the military community a voice in the veteran space to share their stories of service, how they continue to make a difference in civilian life, and they share with me a tactical treasure that has shaped their journey in their military career, business, or life. Today, I'm honored to speak with Amy Dozier, who is the surviving spouse of Sergeant First Class Jonathan K. Dozier and the Director of Outreach and Education for the Woody Williams Foundation, having joined the foundation in July 2023. Her journey is deeply personal. After losing her husband in the Iraq War, the support she and her daughter received from military survivor organizations inspired her to give back. As an outreach and education program specialist, she hopes to bring her decade-long experience of service to better engage and resource Gold Star families. She understands the value of healing through connectedness. With a master's in public affairs and nonprofit management, Amy specializes in systems building and post-traumatic growth, trauma-informed care for veterans and Gold Star families, and global advocacy, recently representing survivors at the Women's World Peace Conference in Paris. Hello, Amy. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for your service and, of course, your husband's service and ultimate sacrifice for our country.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to our discussion. So I would love if you would tell me just a little bit about your husband's career, how you guys got together. Did you jump in the pool together into this Army life, or was he already involved and then you guys met?
Yeah, all really good questions. So we both come from an extensive line of military history in our family. And he had already been serving. He had actually served just out of high school in the late 90s and then decided after that to go into college to Middle Tennessee State University. At that point, I think I was already out of college and working. And around just after 2001, I believe, is when he decided that he wanted to reenlist. So he reenlisted right after 9/11.
Mhm.
And in 2005 is actually when he and I met. And it's kind of a funny story. I look back on those times of my life and sometimes I cringe, but I have to be honest. The first time I saw him and I saw that buzz cut, I was just had. There's something about that man in uniform and a buzz cut. So he had already been serving for quite some time. Again, re-enlisted after 9/11. I met him in early 2005. And, in true military fashion, we jumped right in head first, very quickly. We were married within months. Well, actually, it was probably early to mid 2005. We were married by the beginning of 2006.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess you're either doing it or not. And I mean, intermixed with deployments and everything, I guess it kind of does move quickly.
It does, and that's one of the things that we learned too in this process. I mean, we both knew that it was possible, but I don't think either one of us really knew. But it happened very quickly. Orders came, and life just continued to happen, and we just went with it.
Right, right. Long married before you received that knock at the door. How did you transition after that terrible tragedy, and how did the military community support you through that?
Yeah. So again, let's talk about life moving quickly. We had only been married for a short time. Our daughter, Emma, who was born a few weeks early, she came in December of 2006. And so luckily, John was able to meet Emma a
Mm,
couple of weeks after she was born, and then again, on R&R during the summer of 2007 before deploying. And when Emma was 1, just after she had turned 1, is when I received that knock on my
Mm,
door that just changed everything. And it's so interesting. You ask about like what type of support I got, what kind of military community support I got. And honestly, I wasn't so entrenched in the military community at that point to even know what to look for in terms of support. So a lot of my support came from my family, my immediate friends,
mm,
and honestly, that mama instinct that just kicks in, where you say, "Okay, I have this baby. We just got to keep going." And it honestly wasn't until maybe a couple of years after, honestly, that it just seemed that certain nonprofit organizations that work with families like mine sort of started to appear in our lives,
mm.
and really just kind of get that message to me personally that healing is possible, and I deserve to heal. And so, getting over that initial shock was one thing, and then kind of leaning into my family and my support network and raising a baby, that really kept me going for the
Right.
first couple of years. And then, once I got Emma into preschool and the fog had lifted, that's when I was like, it's time. I deserve to heal. Like we can do this.
Right, right. And could you just talk to me a little bit about how that healing, what that healing looked like? Because I know that being a Gold Star wife, it kind of propelled you into the
Yeah.
area where you are now, which is the Woody Williams Foundation that focuses on setting up monuments for Gold Star families. So I would love to know how you took those big leaps.
Yeah, thank you for asking because I have to be very honest. Those early days were just messy.
Oh,
And
yeah. Yeah.
this is one of those things I think in especially like in movies and books, you don't see or hear a lot of
Mhm,
the messy parts of grief. You don't see that play
mhm,
out a lot publicly. Um, and to be very honest with you, that was a piece of my story that I held very close to my chest. And I was very timid to talk about it.
mhm.
Just some of the things that were going on kind of behind the scenes. And when I realized that there were other people who were going through similar types of things in their grief, and I was able to connect with those people and wrap some language around the things that we were going through, the more I realized that we really are on such a similar journey in grief, and we have a lot to learn from each other,
Mm,
especially when we have the courage to be vulnerable and speak out. And so that honestly was probably some of the greatest healing that I have continued to do in my life, not just in grief from losing John, but just in all of the subsequent grief processes that we feel in life, right? Like we lose
yeah,
things all the time,
right.
and learning how to sit in that messy place and have the courage to talk about the things that aren't all that pretty and fun to talk about. And that's really what ultimately connected me the most to people, was just how raw and how honest we we can be with each other in this space.
Yeah. And I love what you said, allowing yourself to be open and vulnerable, because that's a hard place to get to when your grief is so personal and you're kind of holding it to yourself. It's hard to open up because it's scary. But I think, as you said, that's kind of the only path to healing is allowing yourself to be vulnerable and allowing people to come and sit with you in that grief because people want to do that. They want to be there for you and sit, in that grief with you. So I think
It's so
that's
true.
awesome.
And so many people did. So many people that I didn't even know. And there would be times where I thought, oh my goodness, I don't deserve this. But I did. And so did my family. And I'm so thankful for those people that I didn't even know in those early days who were just willing to sit with me and let me be who I was in that moment in grief.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. Um, I'm happy that that you're healing, and that you seem to be thriving now because with the Woody Williams Foundation. I would love to
Yes.
know how that happened, but you also have this amazing podcast where you actually use your platform and what you went through to allow others who have come on and have experienced that knock at the door. And so I'm excited to talk about that. But how did you get to Woody Williams? What was that journey like for you?
So I always knew once I got to that point in my grief journey that I kind of figured, okay, I'm doing okay. My daughter's doing okay. We're doing okay. I knew that I wanted to give back. I knew I wanted to be on the other side, and I wanted to be a part of those groups that were standing in those gaps for those families. And so I went back to school, got my master's degree, and went straight to work in the military nonprofit sector. And about 3 years ago, I got a call from the then CEO, just to have a chat about kind of where I was and what I was doing. And am I looking for any opportunities? Is there any way I might be able to come in and support this mission? And I thought, this is a perfect time. Yes, I would love to jump on board.
Hmm.
Tell me what to do. So he kind of gave me free rein and said, listen, we just need somebody who can do some outreach. Like, we've got to figure out how to connect with these Gold Star families. Come on board and just build that outreach program. And that's exactly what I did. And I have met some of the greatest people, some of the greatest families, some of the most incredible families who I continue to learn from to this day, honestly. And then just other people. It's really cool. The people that served me, I literally get to link arms and serve with them now. It's the
Mm,
coolest, full circle moment ever.
right.
So I've been at the Woody Williams Foundation now as the director of outreach for going on 3 years. And it's just been wonderful being able to kind of use my experience, but also just hear from the community that I'm a part of, that I've been a part of for so long, just to hear, what are you seeing? What do you need? What do you want? How can we do this better for you?
Right. And they absolutely chose the most perfect person, I think, to be outreach because Gold Star families, Gold Star wives, that's a sensitive area. And who better to speak that sensitive language than someone who's been there? So I think it's awesome that you're doing that work for them. And I'm sure it's great work because you've been there, you've done it, and like you said, it's almost like this full circle moment where they've given to you and that community, and now you get to give back. I love it. Hello, viewers and listeners. The JDog Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit whose mission is to prevent veteran suicide and heal veterans' mental health and PTS. 100% of all proceeds goes directly to the organizations we are partnered with. If you go to jdogfoundation.org, you can learn more about our mission, donate, and if you are in need of help, please dial 988. Our motto, saving lives one veteran at a time. Check us out, jdogfoundation.org. Now, After the Knock podcast I've seen it on the Woody Williams website. So it kind of started there, but it's in participation with Reese Across America Radio. And I think you're kind of new-ish to the Reese Across America podcast family.
I am absolutely new. In fact, I'm so new to this space that when I was approached last summer by Jeff Pierce, who is part of Reads Across America Radio, we were collaborating on, I think it was we were here in Raleigh, North Carolina. We were supporting the American Gold Star Mothers 80th convention. And he was there doing his thing, interviewing some of the moms, and I was there supporting them in various ways. And Jeff approached me and said, I think I think you should do a podcast. And I said, I think that's a terrible idea. I don't think I'm into that. And we both kind of laughed about it. And then about a week later, he followed up and he said, no, I think you need to do this. You've got a good outreach. You've got people that I'm sure would love to tell their stories. And here's how this will go. You find families to interview. We will, help support the editing and the production and things like that. You come up with a name and just have conversations as you do naturally with families. And I thought,
Mm-hmm.
well, okay. So as I do, I jumped headfirst,
Right.
kind of not knowing what I was doing. But those things have tended to work out for me if I just, follow my gut and my heart. And I trust people around me to help lead me in the right direction. And once again, that's exactly what I did in this case. And I came up with the idea of After the Knock. For obvious reasons. But I wanted to go in a little bit deeper. One of the things that we talk about a lot in the world of survivors is that we never want our loved ones to be forgotten. We are constantly saying their
Mm-hmm.
names. We are always looking for ways to honor them and keep their memories alive. It's one of the reasons my daughter feels so connected to her father is because his family and mine have done such a good job at just keeping John's memory alive.
Right.
And at
Yeah.
the same time, here I am 18 years later, and I hear from families who that piece is still very much true. We want to honor the fallen, say their names, keep their memories alive. But there's this other piece that others talk about sometimes, and I feel this deeply as well. As we honor these men and women who have served and died, it's easy to kind of get lost in that. It's easy to lose the pieces of who you are at your core. It's easy to get lost in all of that talk about the grief and the loss and the heroism, and all of that is so important to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's also just as important to talk about who I am, who you are as a human being after all of that happened. Like,
Right.
what are we
Mm-hmm.
doing after we get that knock? After life changes, who are you and what are you doing? And I think that's been really well received by some of these families. And of course, we talk about their loved ones, but I'm also interested in hearing what they are doing as they carry these legacies. I mean, they deserve to have that spotlight on them as well.
Yeah, you're right. Because after the knock and after the grief and all of that passes, how are you moving forward in your life? How are
Mhm.
you surviving, going from survival mode to
Yeah.
thriving, right? That's important because that is I love that. That's an important piece of that puzzle, right? What does your journey look like? 5
Mhm.
years after the knock, 6, 7, 8 years
Yeah.
after the knock, you 18 years after the knock, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's important because when you think about it, as a mil spouse or a military family member of a son or a daughter, there's a certain identity there, and then once that sacrifice happens and that person has died in service, you become then the gold star wife, the gold star family, and it's an identity. It can be an identity crisis. Like, now who am I?
Mhm.
So yeah. So it that's really great points. Really great points. Well, it's funny because your podcast story is similar to mine because yeah, my Jerry, my husband, the Army veteran, JDog, he is the one who said I should do a podcast. And I said, what? No, you're crazy. I can't do a podcast. I hate public speaking. Okay, here I
Right?
am, 178 episodes later,
That
and
is, that's
I'm doing a
amazing.
podcast. I know it's crazy. And, I did a podcast with a Navy veteran woman who introduced me to Jeff Pierce and said, your podcast's really cool. It should be on Reese Cross America. And I'm like, what? Like, okay. Like, it's like, a deer in headlights through this whole process. So I get you, but you're right. Sometimes, you just got to jump in, and when the door opens, you got to just walk through it,
Yes,
So
that's so true. That
yeah,
couldn't be more true.
yeah. So that's really amazing. And so you're how many episodes in?
So we talked about, potentially let's just do 10 episodes and see how that goes. I did 10, and one of them ended up being a two-parter because there was a lot of richness in the second half of the conversation, a lot of education, honestly.
Uh-huh.
So we wanted to make that into a two-parter. So technically we have 11 episodes. I think number 5 just came out this morning,
Oh, wow.
um, at 11 o'clock Eastern
Yes.
time. So that one just came out. But we've decided that we're going to keep going. Jeff said, all we need is 10. 10 is a podcast, get 10 episodes. That's a full podcast. But I've learned so much, and I've loved talking with these families and hearing what they do to honor their loved ones and what they're doing to honor themselves in this process. It's been incredible, and the people who are in line to tell their stories as well, it's just, we can't stop. There's too much of a need and too much of a desire to keep talking, and I feel really lucky that I, I was literally just given this platform to say, facilitate these conversations and allow these families to be heard.
Mm,
And
true.
what a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing, and I love it. I think it's amazing. And you're you're at 11 Wednesdays at 11, which is Women's Day on
Yeah.
Reese. I'm at 5 o'clock, and yeah, I mean, it's been a very rewarding partnership for myself as well. And as a civilian, I feel honored to be on their platform, and obviously honored to be doing
Yeah.
what I do because I get to speak to amazing people like yourself. So, but I love giving people a platform to tell their story because everybody has a story. And I think at the end
Yeah.
of the day, we can all learn from each other, So it's important work, I think. So, so I think it's amazing. So welcome.
Thank you. I don't know that I will ever catch up with you, but I am so excited to just keep learning.
You're just getting started, girlfriend. It's all good. um, this has been amazing, and Amy, I so appreciate you willing to be vulnerable and share your story with us because I always like to say we never know who's listening and who might just take something away from what you said today that could really help them if they're in the same place that you once were. So we just never know how interconnected our lives can be and help one another. But, we are the Tactical Treasures podcast. So we've come to the time in my podcast where I have to ask you, what is your tactical treasure that you would like to share with us today? Something that has helped you in your journey in life?
Ooh, this is going to be personal. You know, I was actually just thinking about this on my drive over to Fort Bragg to sing the national anthem. I was just getting into my heart, getting into my soul, and I was just thinking about the culmination of everything that literally got me to that one point in time this morning where I was pulling up on bass, getting ready to go sing one of my most favorite songs ever.
Mm,
And I thought to myself, I am so grateful, not just for the people in my life who have given me tools to get through the hardest parts of my life,
mm,
I'm going to tear up. I am beyond grateful for the people who have continued to remind me that I have everything I need within me.
Hmm.
I have what I need to make the best decisions for me. I have what I need to forge the path that is right for me. It's all there. I can't let noise, I can't let competition, I can't let the negativity and the self-doubt, I can't let any amount of criticism in life distract me from what I know I am meant to do. If
Hmm.
I just continue to listen to my voice and the voice that other people remind me that I have and that I own, I'm going to continue to be okay.
Hmm. I love that. That is a very personal and special tactical treasure. Got me right here. I love that. Yeah. Um, and thank goodness you have such a community around you that can help you find your voice and keep your voice and keep
Yeah.
going forward. You know, that's really important and special. I love that. So, my next question might be a little hard as well, but I would love to know if we've talked a lot about dealing with loss. Um,
Mhm.
would you have any little nuggets of advice for fellow Gold Star families or more, maybe also Gold Star wives dealing with the sudden loss?
Yes. Well, one of them is listen to your voice. Before all of this happened, you were a strong person. You
Mm.
still are a very strong person, and you have what you need. You have love to give yourself in this moment. When it gets hard, sit with your breath, one breath at a time, one step at a time. I promise it gets a little easier. It really does. You grow into your grief. It it doesn't go away. I'm not here to tell stories.
Mm.
It doesn't
Right.
ever go away. But you do grow into it little by little as long as you have the courage to just feel your feelings, sit with your truth, own your truth, and just take breaths one at a time, take one step at a time, lean into the people that you trust the most, and never stop believing that you deserve to heal and that you will.
Mm. I love that. That is great advice. Great advice. Thank you for that. Before you go, can you tell us where people can find to connect with you and where they can find out more information on how they can get involved with the Woody Williams Foundation if they want to support? Well, we already know how they can listen to After the Knock podcast. It's on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Reese Across America Radio. Um, but if what if somebody has a story? How can they get in touch with you? If they say, "Oh my gosh,
Yes.
I want to be on. I want my story told."
Yes, please get in touch with me. So, first and foremost, thank you for having me. Thank you for the plug. And thank you for just giving me a platform to share how other people can get in touch with us at the Woody Williams Foundation. And that website is woodywilliams.org. And if anybody would like to get in touch with me specifically, it's just my name. It's amy.dozier. So amy.dozier at woodywilliams.org. And if somebody wants to just shoot me an email, I would love to connect with somebody and give them the opportunity to share their story on our podcast.
Awesome. If people, are you on LinkedIn, Amy? Can people reach out to you
Yes,
on
I'm
LinkedIn?
on LinkedIn, and I'm pretty sure it's a public profile. It's just Amy Dozier, I think, or
Okay.
Amy Dozier MPA. Um, so you should be able to find me there. I'm also, on other socials like Facebook and Instagram. That's more of like my family, my dog, a lot of my
Right.
dog. Uh,
Oh, love it.
um, Yeah, so I'm on most social media platforms, and try to stay up to date on connecting with others on those
Okay.
platforms. So yeah.
All right. That's awesome. Well, we'll be sure to get the word out. And I wish you much success, which is already happening with your podcast. And
Thank you.
so nice to have you on, and thank you so much for again being vulnerable and being willing to share your story. And thank you for all you do.
Well, thank you, Tracy. This is amazing. What a great way to spend the morning.
Hello, viewers and listeners. We've just finished a very emotional and amazing conversation with Amy Dozier, who is the surviving spouse of Sergeant First Class Jonathan K. Dozier and the Director of Outreach for the Woody Williams Foundation. The Woody Williams Foundation is a charitable 501c3 organization that pursues specific endeavors and goals through the vision of Medal of Honor recipient Herschel Woody Williams. The foundation encourages, with the assistance of the American public and community leaders, establishing permanent Gold Star Families Memorial Monuments in communities throughout the United States, conducting Gold Star Families outreach across the country, and providing living legacy scholarships to eligible Gold Star family members. For the first time in the Foundation's history, they invite Gold Star family members to share their family's story through a dedicated media platform. After the Knock is a powerful podcast featuring personal stories told by the loved ones of those who served and died, which is hosted by Amy Dozier. Produced in collaboration with Reese Across America Radio, this series is hosted by Amy, who connects with families to honor the lives and legacies of their loved ones. Inspired by her own experience of receiving a knock at her door in 2008, Amy's passion for storytelling led her to partner with the Reese Across America radio team to create a safe and compassionate space where families of our nation's fallen heroes can speak openly about grief and healing. From conversations about mental health to reflections on lessons learned, these stories are authentic and heartfelt and shared with care so that listeners may find connection, understanding, and hope. Every name shall be spoken, every story shall be told. If you would like to learn more about After the Knock podcast or share your story, please contact Amy Dozier at amy.dozier, and that's spelled Dozier, at woodywilliams.org. To listen to the podcast, she can be found on Reese Across America Radio on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Again, thank you for tuning in. And don't forget, you can find Tactical Treasures Podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms, American Grid, and our website, tacticaltreasurespodcast.com, as well as our dedicated YouTube channel. We are now airing on Reese Across America Radio on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you missed that, be sure to catch the encore on Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern. You can also find Reese Across America Radio on the iHeartRadio app, the Odyssey app, and the TuneIn app. We are also proud to share that our JDog Foundation is a Reese Across America sponsorship group. For each $17 veterans wreath that you sponsor, $5 goes directly back to the JDog Foundation, whose mission is to prevent veteran suicide and heal veterans' mental health and PTS. You can donate right now at reaseacrossamerica.org/JDog. Again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again on another podcast real soon. Bye-bye now.